What's up, everyone? Back with another video today. Gonna be going over the playoffs of the PGL Cluj-Napoca 2026 tournament since the Swiss stage just ended yesterday. And just gonna go over some predictions and a little summary of the playoffs and the potential outcome that I think could happen. So first match is going to be Falcons versus Paravision. I'm honestly really looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be really cool to see how James can prepare for this Falcons team and the potential of high firepower that these guys definitely have on the Falcons. And I'm really curious to see how both these teams really counteract each other and best each other out. The last time these two played was at the Blast Bounty 2026 season in the grand finals, where Paravision beat Falcons 3-0, which is kind of insane, to be honest. It was close, pretty close series, even though it was a 3-0, but I don't think the final score really tells the whole story. It looks pretty close, 13-11, 13-11, 13-9. I mean, that's a very close series, almost going to overtime for the last two maps. But I do think that the Falcons have definitely been able to ramp up more in the start of the season and have had a lot more matches under their belts. And I'm pretty sure they did go 3-0 in the Swiss stage of PGL Cluj-Napoca. So they're definitely feeling really good and really ready for this playoffs. And I do think they're going to be making a pretty deep run. I think one of the biggest deciders for me in this series in particular is going to be how the map pool plays out. I don't think Falcons has really shown a specific map pool that they want to go with. I'm guessing Inferno's probably going to be in there. I don't know how I feel about that for Falcons. James has been infamous for his Inferno gameplay and just stalling out, James time, everything like that. I really think Inferno is going to be not the best for Falcons. They're probably going to choose it. I don't know if that's going to be the best way to go. It's probably going to be Mirage and Nuke. I would probably say maybe one of those two, maybe something else in there. I don't think Dust 2 is going to be a good map for Falcons. I mean, Paravision have shown that they are very dominant on that map, very dominant, and they barely lose in 14 maps. They have a 79% win rate. That's insane. That's really, really good. And I don't know, it's going to be really hard for Falcons. I do genuinely think that the Falcons can pull it off. I haven't really been high on Falcons for the last year, to be honest. I don't think a lot of people have that aren't just diehard fans of Nico and or Monacy, but I do think Falcons are going to be able to pull it off. I would love to see Paravision move through the bracket, but I do think this is going to be Falcons' time. They know what they did wrong at Blast Bounty, and I think they're going to come back and really show that they're here to play, and this is a tournament that they definitely want to win to start off the season as best as they can. So for this one, I'm going to go with Falcons. And for game 2, it's going to be Mouse versus Navi. I think this is the hardest series of the first matches. Both of these teams have been looking very good, and especially for Mouse, they beat Paravision 2-1 in their first game at this event, and I think that's really good. I think that's a really good start for Mouse especially, and then they go on to beat Navi 2-0, and that's already a win under their belt that they have for them. They're confident going into this match, and they probably think, hey, let's just do the same thing. Let's just work hard. It's in front of a stage. Let's make sure we ramp up. We show some energy. 0-2 to Vitality. No one's going to be mad at that. And then 2-0 to Foot, which I think is really good. Foot have been looking amazing. They're one of the dark horses on everybody's radar for this whole entire year. I think this Mouse team is looking good this event. I think they're ready for this playoff, and they're really wanting to make a deep run, and I think they're very able to make a deep run. Then we go to look at Navi, who have obviously had quite a bit more matches. They 2-0 Astralis. No one's surprised at that. 0-2 to Mouse. 2-1 Aurora. I would like to see that 2-0. Aurora haven't been looking too hot, and I feel like Navi are starting to get on the level that people think they should be on. They're not there yet, but I think they're really starting to to climb and understand who they are and who they're supposed to be. 1-2 to Mongols. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't think this team should be losing to this Mongols right now. I know it's only one player that they changed. I don't think this Mongols team has really shown a lot. They definitely are still growing, but it's a young team, obviously. But I don't think this Navi team should be losing to the Mongols right now. But then they come back and beat G2 2-0 to make it to playoffs. Sadly, G2 aren't going to be here, but I think it's time for this G2 team to make changes, but we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about the playoffs. If we go back to here, I mean, obviously, we're in Romania, right? And Ema really wants to show off to this crowd. He really wants to show up for his home crowd. And if you give Blade time to make a game plan, it's going to be great. And especially against this Mouse team who have a lot of film to go over, and these guys have played each other a bunch in the past year or so. And I think it's going to be a very good match. I think this is probably the hardest match to predict in the starting matches of the bracket. I mean, Mouse has a winning record against these guys. I don't think that's anything to scoff at. It's not too much. Actually, they haven't played each other very much. That's kind of crazy. I think I'm going to go with Mouse. I'm going to go with the track record that they already have. I'm going to go with Mouse here and say they're going to pull it off. It looks like an upset on HLTV. I don't know if that's really true. I know a lot of people don't like Mouse, but they're still a good team, and Navi still have a lot to work on. So I'm going to go with Mouse for this series. Then we go on to probably the easiest match to predict. I'm not even really going to spend too much time on this. It's Vitality. I'm surprised that it's only 58.4% to Vitality. There's nothing to say. Like, just these two teams matching up. Aurora hasn't looked that good. So I'm just going to go through this really fast. Vitality 2-0, easy, nothing too crazy. This match is where it can get a little interesting. Don't get me wrong. Oh wow, okay. So it's pretty lopsided, which I'm not too surprised about. Don't get me wrong. I'm fully Furia in this. I think the only thing that I really want to see in this matchup, specifically in this series, is for Mongols to show some fight. I think that's the one thing I really want to see. I really want to see him be able to fight in this series. Because if we go look at here in Krakow, it was a close match except for the nuke. It was 13-2, but other than that, went to overtime, won the first map on Mirage. It was a close series except for this one, but it was a close series, and I really want to see that again from the Mongols. I really want to see this team try and work their way back up to what they were before with Senzu. Obviously they're missing Senzu, right? It's a huge disappointment to see Senzu not on this team anymore, but we have to forget the past. We have to move on. Love the past, but move on with it. And we have Cobra Zera here, who looks like a really good prospect, young kid. And I really just want to see this team fight and do what they did at Krakow. But I think for here, I already picked it because I was, going through all this. I think it's going to be Furia. Maybe not 2-0. Again, I don't want it to be a 2-0. I want this to be a good match. Furia going to win it. I hope it's a close 2-1. So if we look at what we have here, we have Falcons, then we have Mouse, then Vitality, and Furia. So if we go off this, and if we look at the Falcons v Mouse matchup, it's pretty close. It's honestly pretty close. No one's really had the edge for the majority. I don't know what to go with here, to be honest. Two choker teams. I mean, what are you really going to say about this? Two choker teams. It just depends on who shows up on the day. It's obviously like that always, right? But for these two teams specifically, it's always who's going to show up at this moment. Not in the tournament, not in the stage. Just who's going to show up on this series to be able to win it. I think Mao's beating Navi has a lot more to it than Falcons beating Paravision. Again, I love Paravision. I love how JM runs his team. And obviously they won Blast Bounty. But I just think overall, Mao's beating Navi twice in a row in my predictions. I think that's going to hold a lot more and have a lot more confidence than for Mao's going into the Falcons match than Falcons beating Paravision. Man, am I really gonna? No, dude, I can't have another. Oh no. I don't want another Mao's Vitality Grand Finals, man. I don't want another. You know what? You know what? Just because I don't want another Mao's v Vitality matchup in a tournament, I'm just gonna go with Falcons. Just gonna go with Falcons. I do not want to put Mao's versus Vitality in the air. I don't. If it happens and Mao's win, that's great, but they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win against Vitality. I'm gonna be honest. So just for the sake, I'm gonna have Falcons in the grand finals because I do not want to see another Mao's Vitality match. I don't. I really don't. And then if we go to the other side of the bracket here, we have Vitality versus Furia. I think this is going to be a matchup that we see a lot this year. It really just depends on if Furia can bring it, right? Because Vitality are always going to look good. They're always going to show up. One of their players or two of their players is always going to be able to show up on the right day. I think that's just what it's going to come down to is if Furia are able to show up on this day to be able to beat Vitality because they can. They've showed it before. They can beat Vitality. And if we look at their recent head-to-heads, at IM Krakow, Vitality 3-1 Furia with Furia winning map 1 Mirage pretty closely, and then map 2 and 3 Vitality kind of just doing their own thing, and then in map 4 13-10 with Furia almost having a comeback to bring it to overtime, but Vitality are obviously able to close it out. And then if we look at the previous ones before that, it's kind of been Furia for last rivals of late last year and Chengdu of late last year. I think if even two players from Vitality really are able to show up and step up in this match, Furia are I'm not going to say they don't have a chance, but it's going to be very hard for them to overcome that. And I just haven't seen enough to have faith in this team to beat Vitality right now. I think later in the year or later in the season, potentially later in the year, Furia are going to be able to, but just right now with how especially Zywoo looks and just this whole team in general, I don't think I see Furia winning this. And we have Falcons going to the grand finals and we have Vitality going to the grand finals. I think this is probably the best grand finals we can have here. That's going to be closest match. I don't think any of these three teams are going to be able to put up as much of a fight as Falcons. I don't think it's going to be much of a fight for Falcons against Vitality. But nonetheless, I think it's the best grand finals we can have at this event. And if we look at these two teams head to heads, the last time these guys played was Blast Bounty, where Falcons 2-1 Vitality, which is, I wouldn't say crazy because there's a whole controversy about, oh, well, Blast Bounty, the first event of the year, no one really cares. Everyone's just kind of warming up or just going through the motions, going through the paces. But nonetheless, it's a win. A win's a win. And 13-10 on the Inferno. Vitality come back on the Anubis. And then they kind of just, Falcons just kind of sweep Vitality in the Mirage, 13-6. And then if we go to the rest of their head-to-heads, it's not really much to go off of. Last time these guys played before Blast Bounty was Rivals late last year, 2-0 for Falcons, and then before that was EPL and 3-0 for Vitality there, and then EWC, and then IM Dallas. So there's not really much to go over, but I don't really think it's hard to say. I think I'm going to have Vitality being the winner here, to be honest. I don't think anyone is going to say otherwise. Maybe, you know, fanboys of Falcons or fanboys of Nico Monesi. But I think just overall, Vitality have just looked insane. They're obviously going for the Grand Slam, and they want to continue what they did in the 2025 season. And I don't think this is going to change at all. So I'm going to have the Grand Finals winner being Vitality. I don't really know about scoreline. It probably Falcons can get 2 maps. well, it's a best of 5, so I would like it to go to last map, to be honest. That would be really cool, but it just, again, it just depends on the map pool. Vitality have such a deep map pool that it's just going to be, can Falcons step up on certain maps to be able to push it over the line? But nonetheless, I really do think that Vitality are going to just break down the Falcons again and just come out with the win. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you think otherwise, and if you think someone else will win, let me know in the comments. If there's something I missed, let me know in the comments. And I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.